Welcome into the Dynasty Mafia podcast, everybody. I am your host, Antonio. With me, as always, Eric and Keenan, and we are joined especially by probably the best guests we're ever going to have. And my God, that means so much. Why don't you introduce yourself for us? Our guest here, Mr. Russ.
Well, you told me to introduce myself, and then you told them who I was. I don't know what I'm supposed to say now. This is not off to a strong start. Like I think I need to cut out. I'm done, guys. Oh yeah, no, I'm Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter. I am here to guest because Antonio asked me to, and I said yes. That's the deep, dirty story about this. The truth is, I love these guys, and I've been asking to come on anyway. Okay, hi.
Hey, I know I really butchered that. We've been talking for like 45 minutes now because it was the 4th of July weekend and we got our kids and they're really coming back from all of that. And man, they really decided that tonight was just not the best night to start at a good time. Mm-hmm. So man, that kind of flow did mess with me here, but no, I love Russ. I love Dynasty Outhouse. You have so much going on. You have your DAP network. Like you said, you produce every show known to man as far as podcasts go. And my gosh,
letting people know you'll edit is a terrible idea.
Can you give him like a half hour to announce his 20 shows, please? Go ahead, Russ.
I don't even remember them anymore. That's the bad part. Like I always leave something out. Well, there's Trade Addicts podcast, me and Rocky Petrella at Dynasty FF Addict, which is part of the Dynasty Addicts podcast network. All those awesome shows. Go check all of those out. What else do? See, completely forgot. Dynasty Game Night. Yeah, Dynasty Game Night with John Bosch, Matt Price, and Rocky has been just saving our lives with the amount of episodes he's been putting out. The DLF Trade Show, me and Addison Hayes, every Thursday on the DLF YouTube that comes out. I do Outhouse Thoughts, which is on the DAP Network YouTube, which is once a week, just, quick, like 10, 15 minutes of me showing the world how crazy I am, which is insanely fun. And my days of, I usually do it every Monday, but then, 2 days ago, yesterday was Monday and there was no work. And then today was Tuesday and I had apparently promised someone else I would record during lunch. So now I have to do it tomorrow, schedules and doing things. And
you need to get your agenda.
I need a freaking assistant. That's what I need.
Eric was just looking for a new job.
Hey, man, there you go. You want to get paid in like Twitter followers or something? I could do that.
Yeah. A lot of tags, man. A lot of retweets.
I don't have any money, but I'll retweet the shit out of everything you put out there. Let's do
it. So we talked about having a 4th of July weekend, one of my favorite holidays of the year. Russ, how did your 4th of July weekend go, my friend? What did you have going on?
Oh, man. But real quick, we were talking about all of our kids and everything. Thankfully, I missed this one. I just got a text from my wife.
Oh, no.
She was talking to my 8-year-old. Just covered evolution, theology, and reproduction with our 8-year-old. Thank you guys so much for this podcast right now.
Wow. We just saved you. You dodged a big bullet there, man.
Wow.
That's not a conversation I'm looking forward to.
No, that was okay. Wow.
A conversation.
4th of July. Let's forget that ever happened. 4th of July was nice. I don't remember what happened Friday or Saturday. I'm sure something happened. Sunday for the actual 4th, we just had one family over. They live in the development. They're my wife's best friend. My kids are best friends. And, they came over. We barbecued. We put a fire pit together. So we made some s'mores. It was just a nice, relaxing night. And then apparently everyone in my development had fireworks and just felt like doing it at the exact same time. So my kids were literally outside the house, running around the house in circles because in every direction at one point or another, there were fireworks going off. So they're just like, and I'm in the house, like hugging my dog. Like, It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Not his kids, the dog.
Oh, no, my kids were fine. They loved it. Dude. My dog was freaking out. Like, it was so weird because, like, she's 8 months, an English bulldog, where bulldogs are supposed to be, like, lazy, like, mellow dogs, and mine is a caffeine fiend, like, beast, like, thing. Like, you'd think she was drinking espressos and stuff like that. But, like, she was just, like, huddled, like, terrified, and I was just like, no, it's okay, baby, it's no one's gonna hurt you. But it was a nice day, and then having yesterday off was nice to just freaking relax for a bit. But real world has returned. How about you guys? How was your 4th?
Well, I know Eric had the same situation.
Yeah, grilled out, went in the pool.
I missed that
good.
last part.
Your
though. I got
dogs.
one of those.
Say it again. Oh, with
Pool.
the dogs. Yeah, no, my dogs are. They do not like fireworks either. I mean, the one was fine. So my one dog absolutely hates them. My other dog was perfectly fine with it for like the first year, and then now for some reason he just gets so scared he'll start shaking too, and I don't know. They go
Poor
nuts,
puppy.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And you heard them barking. That they sound like the
That
scariest.
does
dogs.
not sound like a weak little dog.
Yeah, they're little babies though.
Yeah, no, but like he said though too, the pool was fun. Eric and I, being brothers, we hung out together and did some barbecuing as well. My son got to swim and he learned how to swim for the first time. He's about 2.5, and my daughter's already been in the pool. She's 1 year old for like a couple weeks now, and I don't know. It was nice to finally get that going. It made life a little bit easier. He always would watch us from the deck and just say, "All right, you jump in, let me push you in." I was like, "No, come on, man." So I do have a question for you guys in the spirit of food, because, my son was eating a hot dog on Sunday and just decided he's going to dip it in the water that he's playing around with. And
you let him watch the contest? Is that what happened?
That's a really good idea. A really good thought, because, man, Joey Chestnut just makes me want to. I want to like
vomit?
throw up, but love him at the same time. It's like
he's a Bills fan.
There. He is a Bills fan.
Did
He
you
is
see
a Bills
that?
fan.
I did not know that. Fun fact.
But in the spirit of soggy
Not that Ross
foods
cares.
and my children, what is your guys' favorite soggy food that you would love to eat? And also in the spirit of having a guest, Russ, I'd like to hear yours first.
All right, so you thankfully gave me a little bit of head notice on this like 20 minutes ago. I'm going to ask this question. Soggy food? What the hell? So here's my answer, and it is completely off of my normal horrible food kind of stuff. For a while, my wife and I were dieting, and there are zoodles, like zucchini noodles, which is pretty much just zucchini sliced really like to look like a noodle. It's not any sort of noodle whatsoever. It is literally just zucchini. But you saute zucchini, just dump it in tomato sauce and a whole lot of spice. Like I throw so much garlic on everything just because garlic's wonderful. And honestly, like after a while, the zucchini, when it gets so hot, it does get a little mushy, and it's just honestly like you just sit there like not noticing what's going on. Nothing will ever be an actual replacement for pasta. So like I don't want anyone to believe that nothing will be pasta except for pasta. Like gluten-free pasta is okay. Chickpea pasta is actually very good. But the zoodles they were good. They are not pasta. I don't want anyone to get that weird assumption. It is not, but it is still just really freaking good. Especially anything with tons of garlic is good anyway. And then, well, you add meatballs because you need actual protein. But like seriously, zoodles and sauce is really and it mushes up and it's wonderful.
Oh, man, I skipped a good part of dinner tonight, so I was kind of eating fast, and that's getting me going a little bit more. What about you, Keaton?
I just Googled what's the best soggy food, just because I couldn't think of anything.
I know, caught you on the spot. I know you're a little late to the party.
Wait, I'm curious what came up.
Nothing good. Nothing good. I already said
yes, zucchini bread is good. I was waiting for like someone to say like, oh, I love Captain Crunch, but I love leaving it in the milk for too long. So
I do. That's amazing.
Wow, look at that. We're so like this.
It's amazing. I love Captain Crunch, and you leave it in the bowl for 10, 15 minutes is the best thing. Best thing. That's my soggy food. Thanks, Russ.
So speaking of milk, I'm gonna add mine because I don't know how many people do this, but my wife, she always makes fun of me for doing it. So mine is soggy Oreos, but not just dipping your Oreo in the milk. I always break mine up and I always put them and I let them soak in the milk.
Because the best part is drinking the milk at the end of dipping Oreos that has all the pieces on the bottom.
Oh,
no,
yes.
100% behind you. And the thing is, like Oreos, Chips Ahoy, or honestly, graham crackers in milk is severely underrated and
underrated. Russ,
I've
so
never done
good.
Russ
So
is speaking
good.
my language.
You have to be super careful because you dip the graham cracker in and like you have to pick it up in a certain way that it doesn't just like it doesn't just like fall right off the rest of the graham cracker, but it is so damn good, which is why I'm so excited that we made s'mores on the 4th, because we have a crap ton of graham crackers in the house now. And you know what? We're talking about so much food that, like, we were talking about Twizzlers before. Like, I'm just going to be a fat a-hole the second we stop talking, and I'm just going to go eat all these freaking snacks.
Dude, you guys got me, man. My wife hates the milk, the way that I treat that milk and the way I leave everything in and drink it. Like, she's absolutely disgusted. And I'm like, do you even understand how to live? Like, that's just what you do. Like,
talking about it,
dude, cookies, like
how I treat that milk.
Dude, that's one of the biggest things I got upset about with food with her. And I'm like, excuse me, like, this is a sin? Like, you're drinking the milk, like what? So, anyways, I'm gonna get to my soggy food here, and it's chilaquiles. I know that's tough to pronounce, and a lot of people don't know what that is, but it's a Mexican breakfast food that I fell in love with. Best soggy food of my life. So it's actually really easy to make. You get corn tortillas, cut them into quarters, and you just cook them in a pan with some like salsa verde, eggs if you choose, some chicken. But you really just let it all kind of cook together, and you put some nice cheese on top of it. Mostly cotija.
I'm super sold. Let's do that. But
like, it's amazing. It's fantastic, and it just gets all soggy, and you just let it all just kind of consume into your mouth. And then like the hot chips and the cold sauce that just gets together, and the cheese. Yeah, man. Chilaquiles.
That sounds wonderful. And I am going to try and find that somewhere in central New Jersey. I don't know if I doubt that's a thing. It's got to be around here somewhere, though.
Dude, we had it in Mexico when we were on honeymoon in Cabo, and like we can't go back. Like, we try making it now. Obviously, it's never gonna be the same, but we're getting there. We're working on it. We're working on it. It's I don't know. We'll never know when we're gonna get back. But speaking of not knowing things, you three don't know what you're about to be in for.
I never know what I'm about to be in for, so this is very fitting right now.
Well, really, probably just 2 out of 3, because I kind of told Russ. But the three of you are about to play a little trivia game. Welcome, Keenan.
I love trivia. Oh my god!
So, in the spirit of today, we are going to talk about some sophomore players. I'm not giving too much away. It doesn't mean that the trivia will be part of that, but we're going to discuss our sophomore players today, and we're going to talk about trades, seeing as Russ is a trade addict himself. So we're going to hear some thoughts on some trades.
I can't wait until Russ hears some of your trades.
I don't know if we're going to talk about those today, man.
I cannot wait. Go ahead.
So, and maybe we'll talk about Kyle Pitts or Calvin Ridley. I know we talked about it a lot last week, but we'll see. So, all right, guys, let's start this first one. How it's going to go is there's 4 clues. Once you guess, you're out for that round. There's 3 players total. And we're just going to, the points don't mean much. It's more for fun, but 4, 3, 2, 1 is how we'll go down each round. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So,
sure.
All right, I'll go ahead with the first clue here. Almost half of my receiving yards last year were after the catch.
Brenda Ayuk.
Remember, that was a good guess. You're wrong, but you are now out for this round. Second clue, or Eric, do you have any guess, or Russ?
I'm going to hold on, but I have a guess or two in my head.
Okay. My new teammate has scored 9 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 seasons.
Okay, so no. Okay, that took away literally all of my choices because I can't think of anyone having a new teammate that would score that many touchdowns.
All right.
Okay, I have a different idea, but okay, keep going.
Okay. I was 8th in broken tackles in the league for wide receivers, and I led all rookies in broken tackles per game, something that I was already known for in college.
All right, I'm just going to guess A.J. Brown.
It is not A.J. Brown. Eric, is one more clue left? Or I can
led all rookies as in they were a rookie this year?
They were a rookie last season.
Oh, so never mind.
Sorry, I probably should have specified that. So if you would like to keep your guess, Russ, I did not specify that part.
All right, cool. Then I'm going to take my guess back because clearly
it's yours. There's one last clue, and it'll probably give it away, but that's the point of the 4th clue.
How come he gets his guess back?
Because I'm the
guest.
Messed
part up.
Was it CeeDee Lamb?
It is not. The last one, I play in the AFC South.
Oh, fucking. Oh, Lage.
Yeah, seriously, man. I'm offended by that.
I've never done that. I'm pretty good with it.
Oh, man, who the hell's in the...
Maybe it didn't.
I can never remember teams and divisions. Visca?
It is Laviska Shenault.
Oh,
Good guess. Laviska Shenault. Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones.
Has 9 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 seasons.
That sounds about right.
Laviska came in with a crap ton of broken tackles. And, he has 298 of his 600 receiving yards last year after the catch. So
right.
Somebody we're probably going to talk about a little bit later. All right, player number 2. Russ, got the win there. Got your point.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, in weeks 7 to 12, I was running back 4, but running back 2 on a points per game basis. Weeks 7 to 12, I was running back 4, but running back 2 on a point per game basis.
Taylor.
Let me know if. Ooh, it was a good guess, but that is incorrect.
It was 1 or 2 people that I had in my head, so I just figured I'd go for it. Try and get those points.
Number 2, Eric. Aaron Keenan, you like me going up? All right. I have never played. So last season, my rookie year, I never played more than 65% of snaps in any game.
I have a guess, but it's probably wrong.
No,
we can keep it going. Okay. All right. Ready, Eric? Keep going. Last year, in my rookie year, I had almost 3 times as many touches than I did in total in college.
Yeah, that was the other guy I was thinking of.
That one will probably give it away.
Antonio Gibson?
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson. Good guess.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have taken the easy one. I knew I shouldn't have guessed Taylor, but it because he did so well towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, so J.D. McKissick led. He was behind. He was second in the league in catches. He was on the field a lot, but only started 7 games. Antonio Gibson is a very, very prime player for a good breakout this season, especially with Fitzpatrick coming in. All right, let's do our last one. So good job there, Keenan. You got 2 points, or 3. 2 points. All right, so last one. Before week 6, I was wide receiver 11 in PPR. And after that, I was wide receiver 35.
CeeDee Lamb.
Mother trucker. That is the right answer. Damn it.
That was easy.
Right. Yeah, you knew that one?
I would have got it.
He'll say he does now because now he knows the answer. Yeah,
I was hoping that the week 5 would throw you off. So let me run through. I guess
dude, it is burned into my skull that week 5 is the week that Dak got hurt.
Oh man, that was a good one, man. So I did have that second. I guess I should have. So I gained 877 yards in the slot, and that's the most for a rookie in 15 seasons.
Oh wow, that I didn't know.
So 877 of his 956 yards, I believe, was in the slot. So that was crazy. And the third one was kind of a play on words that wouldn't really help with you guys because the spelling mattered. But if an injury didn't rain on our parade, my year could have been amazing. Dakota's Dak Prescott, Rain Dakota Prescott is his name, but that would have been kind of a foolish one. So I figured somebody would get it before. That's a nice job, Russ. All right, That was a quick, fun little trivia game.
Remember when
Thanks for letting me win, folks.
What did you say, Keenan?
Remember when you traded him last night?
I did, man. I did trade him. I did trade him away. I'm pretty deep at wide receivers, though, so I had to. We'll talk about that a little later. Or actually, you know what? Why don't we discuss that now? So, Russ, let's get into some trades. So we had a draft starting. It's a 1 quarterback. So I know you love Superflex.
We try to switch it. We try to switch it to Superflex, but
we're working on it.
Just tell everyone who doesn't want Superflex to get out.
Yeah. I'm trying to do all our redraft league Superflex this year. I'm putting it all up for vote. Every league.
All power to you, man. All power to you. So
it's not going to pass.
One of the trades. It's not going to pass. But you did already give away, I guess, that it was my trade. So it is my trade, and I traded away CeeDee Lamb for 1-4 and 222 firsts. Now that one of those 2 firsts is the worst team in the league. I know we can't project they'll be first, but it's a lottery system too. So I'll get a top 4.
Okay, so 1-4 in a 1 QB. So we're talking
DeVonta Smith is what it was.
Yeah, really. I got to be honest. That's pretty much CD to me. Like, man, we've seen CD be really freaking good. And like, that's really good capital that you got. You don't usually get 3 firsts for players anymore, especially one of them, is the 1-4. But man, like, that's just giving up CD for picks is so rough right now because, like, what do you want to get with those picks? Young wide receivers.
Yep, I have Calvin Ridley, I have Justin Jefferson, I had Amari Cooper, I have Deontay Johnson. Like I have so many wide receivers, so I was like,
I mean, you gotta get
make
like
that move.
if you
And
get super
he only
lucky,
had 2 running backs on his roster.
like next year, there's going to be a few good running backs coming out. Like I know we're just ragging on this 22 class, but there are going to be some good running backs. So if one of that pick does end up being the 102, it might be worth it in the long run, but it can't feel good giving up CeeDee Lamb. Like
No, I haven't. It was with my brother, and I sent it to him, Eric. So it was with Eric, and I sent it to him like 4 hours earlier yesterday. And then we talked about a little different trade of mix up. And then 2 hours later, I find that trade accepted the first one.
He was
And I was just
panicking.
crapping my pants, dude. I was crapping my pants. I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean to send that to you. Like, can we trade back? But like, we didn't wind up. I've kept it. I'm a man of my word there. So we've kept it. But
I even told him today we could trade back, but he still said no. But
I know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
He was
see.
texting
I'll
me to
take
reverse
the-
a trade. He was texting me to reverse a trade in the middle of the night. I'm like, I wake up and we're in WhatsApp and like you could delete the message. I'm like, Antonio, what the hell was this? He's like, never mind. I find out later that he was trying to get it reversed. I'm like, you what? So we're like on pick 1-6. A couple picks
And
later, I'm like, you guys want me to back up the draft and restart from 1-3?
It was a rough night, man. But that's the fun of it, dude. My anxiety was just like going crazy. I was like, damn, what did I do wrong? So in the light of CeeDee Lamb, what are you thinking, Russ, that the Cowboys, with obviously, Dak coming back, I'm sure we're comfortable and confident with his foot, but do you think CeeDee Lamb takes that leap this year? Because I feel like nobody wants Amari Cooper. Like I feel like they've written Amari Cooper off. I don't know.
Yeah, that's wrong. But okay, yeah, keep going.
100%. And, so Amari, I still feel like he's going to be that number one wide receiver for Dallas. So do you feel like that, Dak is going to overtake him? Is going to overtake with CeeDee Lamb, is going to give him more targets, is going to have him overtake Amari Cooper, and then they may even let him go with that contract year, if that bothers you?
Amari's gone next year. Unless they really rework that contract, he's gone. I think we've sort of had that in the back of our minds since he signed that contract. That like he was stuck for 2 years and then he's probably gone because if they keep him, it's like $20 million or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, but I really just do think that offense will be good enough to sustain CeeDee, Amari, and Gallup as a wide receiver 3, and with Zeke being an RB1. Like I think that offense will be that good, and because they for 4.5 games they were that good.
They were that good because their defense was horrible and couldn't stop anyone, so they had to put up 40 points.
That's the only reason the Falcons offense ever does anything is because their defense is so damn bad.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I traded for Amari Cooper in Antonio's league. I gave up 2 firsts for him, and I'm not regretting it at all. The only thing that concerns me is where is he going to end up next year?
Yeah, but he'll choose. But I mean, if we're talking, well, clearly we're talking Dynasty. He's going to be 28 next year, in which case his value is going to start dying anyway. It's so weird. Like I saw that today that he was 27, and it's just like, has he? I figured he would eternally be 23. Like the dude came into the league at 19 or something. I think it was just 20 because I think Juju was like the youngest at 19, and just like he was always like Amari's been so bad. He's just 22. He keeps dropping the ball. He's just 22. He has so much. He's just 22. Oh, he's 27. All right. But I mean, he's awesome. He does really, like, he's always been good. The problem was he was never like the stud we thought he was going to be coming out of college, which like, I feel like if it were nowadays, like, and we knew all of the crap we know, we probably wouldn't have been as high on him. Like, like BMI and hand size Twitter would have like shoved it down a little, like shoved his ADP down a little bit, but like seriously, like he's always been very good. It's just he never lived up to that crazy hype, but he is a great player for your fantasy team.
And I feel like Dak's not gonna let that go. Like I don't think anything's changed. Like I know I mentioned that he was wide receiver 11 in those first 5 weeks. Cooper was wide receiver 8. He was getting more targets. He was doing better. Everybody was doing better, but he was throwing the ball damn near 40 times a game, or 46 times a game. It
happens. Like I mean, the Steelers do it like almost every single year. The Falcons come close to it a lot. I mean, remember there was like in the beginning of the season, there was even a couple of games where the the Vikings were going nuts throwing the ball 30-something times a game. Like, and you clearly that's not what they want. But still, like, it just sort of happens, especially again when your defense is as bad as the Cowboys or the Falcons. They're gonna have to throw the ball. It's because they're gonna want to stay in games and win, and they will be able to with that offense.
After that injury, he was still wide receiver 13 in the league. Amari. After
And Dak was still top like 5 in points per game. It's just it's ridiculous.
You know, you talked about 28-year-old wide receivers. Like that's something we were kind of talking about last week. Is I feel like those DeAndre Hopkins of the world, they're the elites, the Devontae Adams that are starting to get up there are just
Keenan Allen.
Seeing his old, the Keenan Allen, like even Keenan Allen. I feel like a lot of them. I mean, if Rodgers, for Adams' sake, stays in their situation, some of them could be up for literally the best years of their career.
You're talking bad about Keenan.
And Keenan, and I don't know. It's just bothering me. I guess not bothering me because I'm kind of trying to take advantage. But it's bothering that we are just doing nothing, especially with the last couple of years of potential recency bias with all these wide receivers and running backs. I mean, myself included. That draft we were talking about, I had 5 first-round picks, so I understand youth always trumps. But
after he traded CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper,
that's
also fair.
Look, you're ruining. He doesn't. That's not the narrative he's telling right now. You don't need to interject.
True, but like Calvin Ridley, for example, like we love him. He's about to be 27, and it's like
he's 26.
Like he's the best situation of his career. It's only his year 4. And
wide receivers enter their prime at 27. Their wide receiver prime is 27 to 29. And Calvin Johnson ruined fantasy football by retiring out of nowhere at age 30. That's really like what this is.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bit of an age cliff. Yeah, you have to be elite to keep producing, but like Adams and Nuke are like they are elite. They've shown they are. There's no reason to be fading them at all. DLF did a video series on YouTube where a bunch of analysts recorded a short 2-minute video about who they think the Dynasty wide receiver 1 should be right now. And if the Trade Addicts pod, I introduced myself saying I'm Dynasty Outhouse and I have a trading problem. For that video, I said I'm Dynasty Outhouse and I have a problem with people overthinking it and not having Devontae Adams as their wide receiver 1 because he's so damn good.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous that there's nothing changed. Assuming Rodgers stays there, which he didn't opt out this past weeks, which means he's gonna play. There's no reason to think Devontae Adams, he's going to get worse at route running. Is he going to get shorter? What can possibly happen to make him not as good? Because Amari Rodgers isn't taking anything away from him, and that's all they added.
I'm trying really hard not to get back to last week, but I just feel like Calvin Ridley, for example, being the 2-year age difference, can't he get those 16 touchdowns Devontae Adams had? Can he get the 180 plus targets? And I know he's not getting Aaron Rodgers, but that's where for me I'm like, man, if that's what he's gonna get consistently, and he can get 9+ targets a game, which Julio did 10+ times in his career.
Oh, Ridley absolutely will this year.
Exactly, and that's where the numbers for me are just showing he's going to be on Devontae Adams of 2020.
The only thing
crazy.
I don't think his touchdowns, Ridley's touchdowns, will be that high because if there's one thing Rodgers does well, it's that freaking TD rate. It's always ridiculous. So that's the only thing. I mean, Calvin Ridley had 10 touchdowns his rookie year, so it's not like he can't score touchdowns. But Adams always has double-digit touchdowns. He always is in that 12 to 16 range, which is insane. So that's the one thing I don't think Ridley can replicate out of Adams. But yeah, catches and yards, I think there's a decent chance he can be top 3 in the league, if not 1. I mean, there's no reason to see why he can't be 1. Because again, we want Kyle Pitts to be a thing, but he's still a rookie tight end. And there's no one else to throw the ball to. Sorry, Russell Gage. It's just you're not Julio Jones. You're not taking targets away from Calvin Ridley. It's just not happening.
You mentioned Kyle Pitts now, and it's like you said he's a rookie. Did that mean the negative connotation where I love Kyle Pitts, but he's a rookie, so he can't maybe have that amazing season?
No, he's going to get targets. The situation dictates he's going to get targets. he's going to do well. Like, I was happier when Julio was there because it kind of put a ceiling on the insanity of the Kyle Pitts hype. But
you want to know the ceiling? It's Antonio over there. What do you have him marked down for? Like 1,208?
No,
Yeah.
I currently have him.
50 touchdowns.
Yes, 70 touchdowns.
No, he's
900
projected
receptions.
realistically, like I said, just with the numbers, and we don't have to dive too far. Again, I know it's we don't have to go down that weed too far, but
All right.
again, like so,
I have numbers in my head. I'm curious how close we are.
we're probably close. So he's got 122 targets for 87 catches, just over 1,000 yards. Or no, it was 73 catches. 1,008 yards. I had it pulled up. Sorry, 73 catches, 1,003 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
7,906 were the numbers in my head.
Sorry. Oh, okay. So
that's like real damn close. Like, I mean, 70,
that's what I had
73,
projected.
900, a little over 1,000.
This is not what he was saying.
Sorry, that's my
more
projection.
before.
No, sorry. My ceiling, like actually with the numbers, my ceiling right now, it's at 100 catches, 1,250 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That's a ceiling.
Again,
But,
like it's
I know
really
it's
tough to
crazy.
say. Like, he's not Julio. I don't want to make
Yeah.
it seem like I'm saying he can easily replace Julio, but those numbers aren't there anymore. And either they just aren't going to score as much, which is always a possibility, or Kyle Pitts is now the big man there. He's going to be the tall dude in the end zone. So there's a chance he just does take those. I mean, like, what, Hawk had like 606 or something his rookie year, and we were happy with that. So like, there's no way, like, it will take a lot for Kyle Pitts to disappoint us, in which case his value is safe at the worst. But it's gonna like skyrocket, which is sad because he's already like tight end 1.
He's already there. It's Evan Ingram, I think, that for me that bothers me, where I'm like, man, if Evan Ingram could do that, Pitts has one of the best chances. And Arthur Smith's Matt Ryan's first offensive-minded head coach. So I'm curious to see how that kind of turns out. All right, so
talking about wide receivers, having a hard time trading them. Adam Thielen last week, I tried to move, and everyone said, well, I don't want Adam Thielen. Can I get one good reason why you don't want Adam Thielen? Just give me a reason, and no one had a good reason.
31 and back problems in Justin Jefferson. I don't believe those 3 things.
Yeah,
but those are the reasons.
Those are the reasons in their head, yes. And I'm like, do you see the season that he just had? He was wide receiver.
The season
7.
that he always has.
Yeah,
it's silly to think that Adam Thielen is bad just because Justin Jefferson is there.
Yeah. And
like, he was always there with Stephon frickin' Diggs.
But like, it doesn't bother you that 10 of his 13 touchdowns were within like the 4-yard line. I know Kirk loves him, but like as the season progressed, Justin Jefferson was able to get a few more 10-yard targets.
There was one other red zone threat on that team, and he is no longer on that team. Kyle Rudolph was the only other red zone threat. They never used Irv in the end zone. So if anything, that, not to say he'll repeat those numbers, but it helps him get closer to it by not losing some of those targets to Kyle Rudolph.
That's a good
Unless
point.
they're
so
so Conklin still there,
concentrated,
some random other second tight end that they're going to throw in there and just
and not only that,
tilts
but
for my Irv Smith shares.
Kirk's not just going to go away from one of his most reliable targets.
He's been using him for years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously Justin Jefferson is great. He could take some targets in the red zone, but like you said, Kyle Rudolph is gone. So I mean, like, those could easily go to him, and Adam Thielen still gets his.
You still have to be annoyingly realistic with Thielen's price that you're going to get for him. Like, his production is worth a first, but you're never going to. I don't think you can actually get a first for him.
I had to trade him and Darren Weller to get 1.8 because there was just no value in this league, and I was loaded at wide receiver and tight end. I'm like, and I wanted to get another running back in this draft, and the guy I drafted was Carter because I moved back down a couple spots, but. It just like if that was me, if someone said, "Do you want Adam Thielen?" Sure. What do you second? You want a second? Throw something out there, but no one was
second and third for Adam Thielen all day.
Yeah,
not a competing team.
But no one was saying anything. Everyone's like, "I don't want Adam Thielen." Well, okay, well, I'll see you at the bottom of the league again. I don't know.
When
We're
they
almost
come back
making
in
trades to
playoff
help.
times, then it's really going to cost them first.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to get a little younger and trying to like move some of these players and like trying to help these other teams, and I just whatever. I'm like, you can't.
Well, and I think the big thing with these young players, Russ, didn't mean to. If you
No, go, man.
Go ahead. Sorry. I think I should have waited, and I think you should have waited to trade Amari Cooper after the draft.
I probably agree. I was just, it's been a rough 24 hours. Yeah,
because
I usually am, but
because everyone wants that new shiny toy, especially like during the draft. No one wants to give those picks up. Where I think if you waited like a month after the draft or before the season, I think you get better value, both you and I.
The longer, with a guy who is not a rookie, the longer you can wait to points being scored is always the best. But I will never preach patience because I don't have any. It is really the truth. So I get it. I absolutely get just wanting to get a trade done because it's fun.
And FOMO. There's FOMO
absolutely,
too, especially draft time. But and when you look at the trades on paper, like today, like you trade 1.9 and 2.6 for Amari Cooper, for example. It's like, damn. So would you trade Rashad Bateman and Kadarius Toney for Amari Cooper? That's when you start trying to make people realize.
Never look back. Never.
Are you in over your head? Well, it's just
look back.
during the time frame, and it's it can be frustrating, but you can win. I know. It was a bad day when I did that one time, and I started to create an Excel sheet, and I'm like, oh no,
yeah,
no way.
At FF Trader Joe, every year he does this. He goes back, and J Mike did it too for Trade Addict 6, where they go back through their leagues, go through all of their trades, and especially trades that involve draft picks. They write in the players that it became, and the amount of times it was just like some innocuous little trade that ended up being Justin Herbert or Justin Jefferson, and you're just like. And for the 110 and the 111, you never see that coming. It doesn't matter how good you think the draft is. It's still the 110 and 111. And then
and then you get slapped in the face.
Yeah, and that's why you never look back.
I made it. I know I made a trade last year in Cartoon Do-Gooders 2 last year. And I know, but I made a trade to get a pick and Josh Allen, which that pick wound up being Justin Jefferson. So I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I think I got him like 108. But you're right. He'd be 1-1 now, obviously, or not obviously. I know you were just fighting for Devontae Adams there. But speaking of Justin Jefferson, he had his 1,400-yard and 7 touchdown season. Just did absolutely fantastic. Had a few 70+ yard touchdowns, which is extremely dynamic player. And a lot of people didn't see it coming. I unfortunately dropped him in the league in redraft after week 1. I traded him to Keenan in our league, and again, never look back. Hashtag a keeper league. Yeah, who's he's now keeping.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have him in a keeper league too. Yeah.
So I think as we talk, we're going over sophomore players. It's tough because I don't know anybody that is as solidified. Even though the ADP says so, Jonathan Taylor's number 2, Justin Jefferson's currently number 1 according to DLF. But Jefferson, you're hoping for regression. CeeDee Lamb, you wonder with Dak. T. Higgins, they added a new number 1. Jerry Jeudy, where's his quarterback? Brandon Ayuk, a new quarterback. You get to the running backs and you have Swift. We don't know what the hell the Lions are doing.
The Lions don't know what the hell the Lions are doing.
J.K. Dobbins is saying, guess Edwards, why are you getting paid? There's a lot going on. Darrell Henderson is creeping on the doors of Cam Akers potentially. There's a lot to dive into, but it's just I guess my question is are we expecting too much from these sophomores? Is there some form of regression? Because I don't see a clear person to say, you have the job. Maybe CEH, maybe we know for sure.
Always CEH scares the hell out of me. He's that's such a strong phrase because he's honestly super safe. He has a very decent floor. I think his ceiling is capped because the Chiefs just don't sort of the running back that much, and they keep wanting to bring in other running backs. They brought in Lev Bell. They wanted to bring in Gio. They ended up bringing in James White. They wanted to bring in James White. They brought in Gio. They had that backwards. They always want another guy besides CEH, and they have depth on their team. Thompson and Williams. They already have guys that are good enough as 3rd and 4th string guys. There's no reason to bring in some of these guys that they keep trying to bring in. So it's just weird. And I definitely absolutely just started talking about the Bucks for a second because I completely screwed that up in my head. See, man, if we started an hour ago like we were supposed to, then I wouldn't be screwing this up so bad.
Yeah,
the later we go, the more I'm going to talk wrong. But the Chiefs
you're right.
They wanted to bring in Gio. That's definitely for sure.
Right? They didn't bring anyone in though.
I can't remember anymore, man.
Who, the Bucks?
It's
No,
the Chiefs.
Oh
They-
yeah, no,
they-
the Chiefs didn't bring anybody in. They they let Lev Bell go. They had brought nobody in, but through the first
Was it
sorry,
them
through the
that brought
first
in
5
Jerick
weeks.
McKinnon?
I think you might be right. Oh no,
And I
Nagy.
will-
They brought in somebody from Chicago. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, it was Jerick McKinnon.
Okay,
and
there you
I
go.
will forever be on the Jerick McKinnon hype train. I will
Dude, I
always
finally
be
got
there.
off last year. Finally,
Nope.
I finally
I will
got off.
always be there. Even after he got beaten out by Matt Asiata, the Purple Sloth, I'm still with Jerick McKinnon. So completely ignore my ramblings before and still trust me. I know what I'm talking about.
You're right.
The CEH again, like he is safe to me. I don't think he has super much of a ceiling. I mean, his floor and his ceiling are probably around RB 10 to 15, and that's good. You need that on your team. Lamb and Jefferson top 12 pretty easily. Like in full seasons of hopefully normal situations. Dak not getting hurt. I mean, I don't know if Dalvin getting hurt is good or bad for Jefferson, to be honest, because like if you see the Giants offense when Saquon goes out, they turn terrible, but the entire offense gets better when Saquon is back there. But like still, those two receivers I think are pretty set. Like I don't think you need to worry about them. I don't think you need to worry. You don't have to worry about Jonathan Taylor whatsoever. Swift,
I'm worried.
I'm not super worried. Like his
feel like the
price
touches are
has
there.
fallen enough that I'm not worried anymore. Like for a while, he was going at the end of the first round of startups, and that was way too much for me. Now he's like a third round pick, in which case Swift or Joe Mixon. I'm taking Swift.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like that price is fine for me. Trying to think. Dobbins, again, another guy with a very safe floor, but unless he takes all of his touchdowns, all of the touchdowns that Ingram got last year, and steals some from Gus Edwards, it's going to be tough for him to have a good fantasy season. Just because he's going to catch 20 balls at best.
He will, and I feel like the short game, at least with the addition of Rashad Bateman and the addition of Sammy Watkins, you're giving.
The offense
You're
has
giving-
changed. Like
right,
that's
right.
that's what we have to hope for. That the offense changes a bit from what we saw the past year and a half.
I think they're going to become a short yak team. Marquise Brown is extremely fast, like a lot of short passes, a lot of screens, and I think that might get J.K. Dobbins involved a little bit more in the passing game.
Oh, I would love that.
That would be amazing. The guy had 12 touchdowns. He averaged over almost 6 yards per carry. It was crazy how well he did. And I don't know if that efficiency can keep up, but I think for sure the touchdowns can be up there.
Well, with a Russian quarterback, it's like, I mean, Alfred Morris was good because he had RG3, and like I love how I'm pulling like examples from like 15 years ago.
It's a great example.
But like, yeah, exactly. Because what the hell is Alfred Morris? Like, it was just the first thing I thought of that was like completely obvious. But like, and J.K. Dobbins, like I understand 100% he is not the best running back to come out of that class, but he was my favorite. I love every aspect of J.K. Dobbins' game. So I want them to let him loose. I want him in the passing game. I want him freaking taking snaps from the slot. Like he can. So like I'm all in if they start doing that because he is absolutely that good. And if that's the case, then he has the RB1 upside. If if he can get 40, 50 targets.
Too bad that's not
I
going to
have
happen.
that.
No.
It's not going to happen. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
The
Like, but
Ravens-
that's what I want to happen.
They do this crap every year, just like with Lamar Jackson. We're going to throw the ball all over the field. Come week one, they're running 40 times and throwing the ball 20. It just they say this stuff and they don't really commit. And
Well, I think
And
Bateman is committing. That's like they were searching for that big wide receiver, but the problem is they never put a lot of effort into it. Ever since Anquan Bolden left, like a 96-year-old Des Bryant, Miles Boykin, who could have been a thing, it just didn't work out, and now like they doubled down. They drafted Rashad Bateman and they they picked up Sammy Watkins. Like
Both above 6 feet.
first of all, hashtag Team Clemson big wide receiver. I'm still in on Sammy. So like I firmly believe this is proof that they're committing to go in the direction they wanted to in the first place. It's like a complete non-linear example, but like the Cardinals, the first year of the Kingsbury offense was atrocious because they didn't have 4 wide receivers they could use. By the end of the season, they had 2 tight ends and 2 running backs on the field. Like they were pretty much playing like 1 wide receiver because like their line was decimated and because they didn't have receivers good enough for their playbook. Last year they did really well, and now they get Rondell Moore and AJ Green to add to the freaking mix, and it's just like, all right, that's good. You're about to see what they want to do, and there's not to that level because Greg Roman's offense isn't Kingsbury's offense, but still, like there is a chance that it at least runs better because that offense was run so poorly. The Ravens offense was run so poorly for most of last year that it was hard to watch and just bad for fantasy, even though Lamar was still like QB 13, but that's not what Lamar should be.
Would you rather have Cam Akers or J.K. Dobbins?
I mean, who do I want and who should I have? I want Dobbins because I like Dobbins better. The ceiling is there for Akers, like easily. Like that offense is going to be very. I hate how good the offenses are in the freaking Seahawks division because like that used to be our thing. Like the Seahawks used to just have but now like they're probably 3rd best, and that's until Lance comes in and probably improves San Francisco's. But Akers, purely like if we're talking actual dynasty fantasy football, Akers is worth more value wise, and they'll probably score pretty similarly because they're both going to be in committees. But the offense, I think, will run better in LA, and I think if Akers has, well, not if, I think Akers has a better chance of being a workhorse kind of guy, not necessarily like the 80-90% touch, but 65 and over. I don't think Dobbins will get that, especially now that they're talking about bringing in Gurley. Now, I know I'm not worried about Dobbins because of that, but that's still a decently abled body of depth. And you've seen Harbaugh cycle through at least 3-4 dudes in the running back position in a game. And the Rams don't really do that.
That's my sorry, Keenan. Just I'll pass it to you in 1 second. But that's my hope is that they will do that. You know, from weeks 12 to 17, and then we saw going into the playoffs, he had the 4th most attempts of any running back.
No, Henderson was hurt. Yeah, that helped.
True, but you know, I don't know.
He showed well, so maybe you hope he rides it. But I have learned my lesson on late streaking running backs. They fail me every year the next year, and it is the only one I have not given up on, and he finally paid off was Derrick Henry. Ever since his rookie year.
Jerick McKinnon too.
Shut up. He does great. Yeah, he always has runs, but then he never pulls it into the next year because he always tears his hamstring. Oh, Jerick.
Jerick and Derek.
Yeah, Jerick and well, Derrick Henry, like ever since his rookie year when he was just pretty much sitting behind DeMarco Murray, again, a dude from 10 years ago, he still had 3 games at the end of the season because a dude Derrick Henry size on fresh legs in cold weather, like, oh man, like wow. And then of course they just wouldn't use him the next year. Great the last 6 games, don't use him the next year. Great the last 6 games. And then finally it's Derrick Henry season, and that's where we are now. And then he's probably going to be like dead after the end of the season from another 600 touches.
He's starting to scare me. Henry.
Oh, I'm terrified. But any team any team I have him on, I'm competing. You can't get the value. Again, it's another person where you're not going to get the trade value for his production value. And just ride it, man. Yeah. Like even next year when he's mostly dead, he's going to end up being a decent RB2. And then you'll be able to trade him for RB2 prices. Like I've resigned myself to that fact already, and I'm fine with it if I could win at least 1 or 2 championships out of it.
So I did with Gurley. And then
exactly.
And then finally got like a 3rd round pick for him. I'm like, all right, man.
Something.
Yeah, whatever.
Winning's worth it.
The one league I got both Derrick Henry and Cam Akers. That's what we were just talking about.
Wow.
2 leagues, actually.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But speaking of the rookie running backs, what I've been telling everybody, you know, pretty much since last year, and what my fear was going into last season was just the limited offseason they had, just everything in general, which I really think did affect all of their production throughout the season, and why we saw a lot of them come on towards the end of the year. And I think, you know, just having this offseason be much more normal, they're going to go in. They're actually going to potentially have preseason games. They should at least, providing they don't end up canceling those. But everything looks like it's going to be normal, and I think it's going to be much better for all of them. And I think we're going to see a much larger workload for all of them as well.
Is it going to be normal though?
Just maybe not James Robinson.
I don't think anything's ever going to be normal again. But
as normal as it could be. I mean, they're going to have actual preseason.
Dude, that's a conversation for another podcast. The thing that we're not really taking into account is like there's an extra game this year, and I think that's going to lead to a lot more committee that we're used to. So like I think after this year, we're going to realize we need to reevaluate how we evaluate players. That is a terrible way to say words. Like we're definitely going to have to change our bar on how we rank people. Like percentage touches from a workhorse are definitely going to drop down. Like there's no way you can give Christian McCaffrey 99% of snaps with an extra game. Like that will literally kill a man. Like it's like I think that's going to change a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Running backs will be scarce. That position will become more valuable. But at the same point, I feel like wide receivers are going to be scoring more points because of that. It's almost like the 2000s redraft, where if you got LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, like you're the killer. Like I feel like it's getting back to that, but at the same point, you're getting wide receivers, especially in PPR leagues, where it is kind of evening things out because you have players potentially hitting a 200 target mark now. I mean, we saw.
Do you think
yards is it's already outdated, but it is absolutely going to be a thing of the past with an extra game in there?
But do you guys think with that, with more committees and whatnot, do you think it's going to make a player like Christian McCaffrey even more valuable than what he is now?
Oh, 100%. Yes. That's like I thought that's what Antonio was referencing, where that true workhorse, especially dude that catches passes, if he can keep that, absolutely makes him more valuable. 100%.
Is he your super flex 101 startup?
Oh no, it's Mahomes.
Still Mahomes. Yeah, he's still not there. Okay. So I wanted to talk back real quick on that committee and that comment Eric made about no preseason and everything. So this is leading me to T. Higgins. I'll let Russ talk after. I'm going to let Keenan go first. But you have a player like Jamar Chase coming in. Jamar Chase, obviously on the teammates with Justin Jefferson. We saw what Justin Jefferson could do in the NFL. But he gets to be back with Joe Burrow, his college quarterback. So with that being said, now that he has an offseason, not still probably as typical, but more typical than last year, do you think T. Higgins is one supplanted? And do you also feel like that might help Chase take an extra leap above what T. Higgins could do, and that Burrow and Chase are going to keep that connection going?
Is this question directed at me?
Directed to you, sorry. I know there's a couple parts there, but like, is T. Higgins valued less for you than he was last season?
No, I traded for him in a league. I think we're talking about offense this whole time, and we're talking about teams throwing the ball more, and if we're not worried about Amari Cooper and Lamb getting their targets, I think with Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow, I think both of those guys can get their touches, and that's why I'm not afraid to have Chase and Higgins on my team, on the one team. I think if they can figure out how to get the ball to them, I don't see why you should be afraid. I mean, Higgins proved that he's an NFL wide receiver last year, without Joe Burrow last year.
That's the other thing I was going to say is without Joe Burrow, like that's why I wonder even more so if that's going to hurt T. Higgins. I know Russ is giving a stern look over there, but I'm not speaking negative on him. It's just I guess it's just worrying me that Burrow is going to come in. They instantly click. Chase is going to see 170, 180 targets, and T. Higgins is kind of teetering on the 100 to 110. If that's maybe what we want, though,
that's your wide receiver too, though. In T. Higgins, though, we already know that Chase is the wide receiver one. We already know what we're going to get out of Chase and Higgins at this point. At least I know what I'm assuming what they're going to get. I think Chase is wide receiver one, and Higgins is going to get his fair share at two.
I guess, Russ, I just wonder.
I mean, we were just talking about the Cowboys and how they could make it work with not just two options but four options.
So he's going between Deontay Johnson and Julio Jones, also around Brandon Ayuk and
Higgins?
Kenny Galladay. T. Higgins currently, wide receiver 21.
I take Galladay over him, and I probably take Who else did you mention?
So it goes Ayuk, Deontay,
Ayuk.
T. Higgins, and then Julio and Galladay.
Yeah, I take Ayuk and Galladay over him, but I'm still not. If I still have Higgins on my team, I'm not just giving him up for nothing. I still think that he's able to produce at a good pace.
Russ, what are your thoughts?
I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Well,
Listen.
clearly, I've mentioned before. Hashtag Team Clem is a big wide receiver, so yeah, I'm a big fan of T. Higgins. During the draft, I was live streaming with the Superflex Super Show, and like everyone, when that pick was on the block, was like, "Okay, Russ, you're gonna be okay. Russ, you're gonna be like 8." And then they announced the pick on the TV, and I literally go like this, and my internet cut out. So I made the joke, like I got so distraught it destroyed my internet. Like my rage went through the airwaves and just nothing could permeate my rage. But in all honesty, I don't do I care? Yeah, it sucks that Higgins isn't the alpha. Chances are it's going to be Chase. A very large percentage chance it's going to be Chase. There's always the small chance that Chase isn't that great in the NFL, but I doubt it, because I mean, we saw what he did. Let's be honest. And it's even funny when I was talking like towards the end of last season, where I clearly still insanely high on Higgins, and when I was trying to talk about Chase, I would always say, well, let's be honest, Higgins isn't as good as Chase, and I still believe that. Like, to see what Chase can do, like he has a couple of steps in a couple of different places on Higgins, and I'm absolutely okay with that. I am with the idea that we are in, especially a league with an extra season, where multiple teams have 2 top 24 wide receivers. Like before Chase, I would be like, come on, Higgins top 5. Come on, Higgins top 5. Clearly, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But also, if you look back, and nothing happened to that defense to make it all that much better, Burrow was throwing the ball like 50 times a game. That offensive line got a little bit better, and that defense did not. So we're in that same situation with like the Falcons, where we were saying that like Matt Ryan's going to just have to throw the ball a whole lot. The Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger throws the ball a whole lot. Burrow might just have to throw the ball a whole lot, especially if Mixon doesn't stay healthy. So
I just
be worried. It depends on what your expectations are. If you're coming in saying, I think Higgins is going to do exactly as well as he did last year, even though Chase is there, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. But like, if you're thinking, all right, well, Higgins can still be a top 10 wide receiver, you could probably be okay with that. Like, I think there's a distinct possibility that can happen.
Yeah, they threw the ball 40 times per game when Burrow was healthy.
Not only that, we were just talking about. Sorry, just you're saying we were throwing that much. We were just talking about how when Dak was healthy, CD and Amari were both wide receivers 8 and 11. I believe that's what the numbers were.
I mean, I think we know more about Dak and Matt Ryan as quarterbacks than we do about Joe Burrow. Joe, like he was still easing into the NFL when he got hurt. Like you could see every game that went by, he was throwing the ball deep a little bit more. Like his first few games, I don't think he threw the ball more than 10 yards. First of all, his offensive line didn't let him hold the ball for that long, but also like it was a lot of quick snaps, a lot of quick throws, and I think it was easing himself in, which is brilliant, really, for a guy who you would think just has all the bravado in the world and would just want to start throwing 80-yard touchdowns. So like I liked what I saw, and of course him getting hurt just sucked. But like I don't see a reason, especially because like we're completely riding off the fact that Tyler Boyd is there and he's great at what he does. And like unfortunately he's wide receiver 3 at best. Like and that makes me so sad because I love that man. But he's not going to get the targets he needs to be a solid wide receiver 2 with a couple of wide receiver 1 week upsides. It's not going to happen anymore. But I firmly believe that Bengals offense will be good enough to give. I'll even cut it a little bit. 2 top 20 wide receivers and not even 2 top 24. So will it happen? I don't know. Could it happen? 100% yes, it can.
Burrow got sacked 32 times last year in 10.
Yeah, and it's not going to get that much better.
I think Chase was definitely the right choice, but
Finley and Allen in 5 games. They got sacked 15 times. So it's not a Joe Burrow issue. That's an offensive line issue.
Yeah,
they're giving up 3.5 sacks a game.
That even seems
low. Let's thinking about it. Let's take a little break with a trade here that involves T. Higgin. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about a couple more players. Yes, it's it's I guess it's a 12-team Superflex. Not that it would matter in this part, but it's Kareem Hunt, Josh Reynolds.
It's a 10-team.
Might be. Yeah, 10-team. Sorry, Kareem Hunt, Josh Reynolds, Irv Smith, a 23 third. So a bunch of garbage with it for Michael Carter and T. Higgins.
Or you're gonna have to read that for me again.
Oh, this isn't even
a super flex league. This is a 10-team, 1 quarterback league. Kareem Hunt, Josh Reynolds, Irv Smith, and a 2023 third for Michael Carter and T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins.
Would you take T. Higgins just for all that? Kareem Hunt, Josh Reynolds, Irv Smith. I mean,
T. Higgins over Kareem Hunt. Yeah,
that's all garbage.
I would have taken that. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I would have taken Michael Carter for all that.
Speaking, well,
I mean, I would go that far.
You love Michael Carter a bit, I know.
I think he's gonna be great. I think everyone's under. I don't think anyone's giving him enough credit. I really don't.
Well, we talked a bit about the Vikings and not really having a bit of a more red zone presence besides their 2 wide receivers. So Irv Smith, and we even heard them downplay Irv Smith themselves. So that kind of hurts. That 23 third really that's another 2 years away. Josh Reynolds got crushed. So you really have so much hype on Higgins and Michael Carter. You're just hoping Kareem Hunt repeats last year while he shared carries and then maybe gets to a new team next year where he runs the load.
No, he's there, man. Like Hunt is there. Like I think he's going to be around for a while.
So depressing.
Yeah, I know. The Nick Chubb should just be the guy. But like he again has such a safe floor and a pretty good ceiling if Chubb does miss time again. I do like, especially with the way I draft teams with all the wide receivers, like usually Kareem Hunt ends up being my one running back in leagues where you only have to start one running back, which is the way it should be. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to any other league that doesn't do that. So no, I firmly do believe that Kareem Hunt is good. But T. Higgins.
This trade proves how people look at these players. Just the value. T. Higgins gets crushed because they draft Chase, and Michael Carter wasn't worth anything after the draft to this person. They drafted him at 1.8, and
that's so weird to hear. Okay,
and at 1.8, if I tried to get 1.8, well, what would you think I would have had to give up to get 1.8? I mean, I just did it. I gave up Darren Waller and Adam Thielen to get 1.8.
That's so ridiculous.
And then I wait till the draft is over, and then the value of 1.8 Michael Carter is completely crushed because it's Michael Carter, a rookie running back that is improving.
Yeah, but also, I mean, neither's LaMichael Pirine, and Tevin Coleman has proved to be pretty washed at this point. So he has every chance to be the guy on a up and coming offense, if you want to be nice and call them that.
Yeah.
Well, while we're calling that, and you said, he got forgotten. Did somebody like Denzel Mims get forgotten on the Jets? Are we still hoping for him? What happened?
I'm a sucker for an X-type wide receiver, and he is that guy. So I do still have my hope. It's just that I also loved me some Corey Davis, and then they get Elijah Moore and Crowder. They extended and a rookie quarter. Yeah. And a rookie quarterback, which I just was listening to the late round podcast, because it's one of the few podcasts I can listen to because it's like 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
So JJ was saying that in history has proven that it's not very likely that a rookie quarterback will give you one top 12 wide receiver, no less multiple guys in the top 24. So right now, my hopes are not super high for Denzel Mims. Long term, I do think he could be the guy. Like, I don't have any. It's a gut thing. Like, it's just like a way I feel like it's the same. Like, I felt about just to chunk him in a thing together. Like Miles Boykin. Like, I really thought he could have been the guy. Like, given the better chance than being buried in Baltimore. Big, tall, fast guys from Notre Dame. Like, let's do it.
Speaking of big, tall, fast guys. Man, you're giving me some good segues here. We're gonna
Oh, we
move
go to Chase
from Notre
Claypool?
Dame.
Wasn't
We're
he-
gonna move to Chase
Yeah.
Claypool.
There you go. I love that. Look how I teed that up for you. That wasn't even on
Man.
purpose.
Well, once I heard that, man, my ears clicked. I'm like, all right, this is a good time to move on then. I know, Eric, I know you love Mims. I know you love Wilson, but sorry, that was too hard to pass up. So Chase Claypool here, kind of like a little diamond for a lot of the Dynasty community, especially if you're in love with like that Pittsburgh offense and what they were last year and hoping for the same thing to happen. And, a lot of those touchdowns, kind of like Gabe Davis was able to produce in Buffalo, right? Like, are we expecting Keenan, or actually, Eric, I'll let you get in on this. Are we expecting with Chase Claypool the repeat that he's that favorite for Ben Roethlisberger to get you most of those touchdowns? We know Deontay is going to get the targets, but somebody has to score in the end zone. And is Juju going to get weeded out? So is Chase Claypool now the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh?
I think things are going to be pretty similar to last year. I mean, Juju might get weeded out, but I don't know. What if they want him there long term? Maybe Deontay drops a few more balls this season and, they decide to go with Juju. But I don't know. I'm still a fan of Juju. Even on a down season last year, he finished as wide receiver 18. And now you can get him at wide receiver 30 in dynasty drafts. He's a screaming value to me. I love Claypool as well too. I don't know. For this season, I definitely think he's going to get those touchdowns and be that guy for Big Ben. But like I said, I think it's going to be similar. Juju's going to get his. Claypool's going to get his. Johnson's going to get his.
You know who was going to get theirs on that offense? Eric Ebron, tight end 8 last year.
Yeah, baby. All about Eric Ebron.
So is the arm for Roethlisberger bothering? Is it like, oh, I'm farther from that surgery now, or oh, I'm getting older and I just had that surgery? Like, what's the mindset we're thinking?
I'm all right with it. I mean, like you said, he is farther out. He played all last season. I mean, and now they improve the run game as well, which I think is going to help them even more. So no, I'm not really too worried about that.
Their O-line got exponentially worse. That's the part that worries me. Roethlisberger, like, I'm crossing my fingers that it's the further away one and not the 40-year-old having elbow surgery one, because I do depend on that offense for a lot of fantasy value, though I hate the Steelers.
Did you see that picture of him in ice pack?
Someone like he's already in mid-season form. Yeah, that was a good one. Claypool scares me. Like, the big, tall, fast guy in Pittsburgh usually finds a way to be third. Like, Plaxico Burress was always still behind Hines Ward and Heath Miller back then. Mike Wallace, he was faster than everyone else and wasn't super big, but so he got a lot of the deep plays. But like, they always find Martavis Bryant, when he, hashtag Team Clem's a big wide receiver, when he was actually not suspended, was okay, but like they're never dependable. They were never dudes you put in your lineup every week and felt good about it. They're the ones you put in your last wide receiver spot and go, please be this week, please be this week, please be this week. And I think that's going to be Claypool, because we've seen the ceiling. The dude scored 4 touchdowns in one game and beasted a bunch of them. None of them were super easy. I think the easiest one was rushing the 10 yards into the end zone that, on an end around or whatever that was. But yeah, I think it's going to be too far and few between, because you can get games that are going to be 2 for 65, on 4 targets. I think you're going to fall into those games every once in a while. But with Juju and Deontay, you're probably looking closer to Jarvis Landry numbers, but with better touchdown upside. You're probably closer to that season where Jarvis Landry scored 10 touchdowns. That's to me what both Juju and Deontay are in this offense. They are both 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, catch the ball and do something with it.
Yeah, I feel like Chase might wind up being that, almost like maybe a poor man's Marvin Jones of what Marvin Jones could be in Jacksonville this year. But, where he'll have a high touchdown percentage, kind of like you said. But he had 8 games last year where he had at least 8 targets and scored 5 touchdowns. He only scored in 5 games with the 9 touchdowns, but he scored in 5 out of those 8, or had at least 68 yards in those. So that's exactly what you need, though, is the targets to bring the production. Juju was in and out of injuries at that time, so Juju had missed a few of those games, 3 of those. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that I don't think you could expect much, but he is currently going 4 spots above Juju in Dynasty, and I'm not comfortable with that. The 2-year difference, so what? But he's 24, and then Chase is 22, and you know that when you're going for youth in Pittsburgh, you're knowing that Roethlisberger is not going to be the future.
Yeah,
and you know Juju
and
will
also
be there.
that they're always going to draft a wide receiver in the second round. Like every other year they're going to do it. The only thing I want to say out loud, just in case there's one person listening that's like, oh, but he's on a 1-year deal. Juju did that on purpose. This was not like Juju hit free agency and he had offers. But the thing is, the cap went down this year. Next year, new TV money comes in. A lot of people took 1-year deals this year because they know if they just wait 1 year, they're getting their Brinks truck backed up to their house. Like, so that is absolutely like, so Juju stayed in his comfortable situation. He stayed in a city that loves him. He stayed in a place where he knows the offense, which is the smartest move he can do because he'll do well. And he'll go to Kansas City next year and get a bigger contract than they would have given him this year. So, like, I just want to say out loud, because, like, I feel like that's part of the reason his ADP has fallen so much, because I can't think of another reason. So, like, I love me some Juju.
I bought him up in so many leagues already. I love it.
I think it's the same with Amari. They're knowing there's another year, and they're afraid they're washed up on that second team. I don't get it. Talent
I don't
follows
understand
talent.
how, like, we've seen Brandon Cooks go to 6 different teams, and every single time we're like, new wide receivers on new teams can't do it. Like, we need to get over this. Like people were fading DeAndre Hopkins. Ugh, like, really?
Yeah, and I guess I could understand why somebody wouldn't want to go after, Amari Cooper. Like you said, he is turning 28, going to be on a new team most likely next year. But I just don't understand the Juju hate. Like, he's 24 years old. We literally just talked about how wide receivers are in their prime from ages 27 to 29.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's already shown he can dominate in the NFL. I just
scoop him up. Keep scooping him up.
Yeah, I don't know. Wide receiver 30, that's crazy to me.
Hey, man, I understand it.
Well, we just had a trade in our league. If you want to talk about that, and then
I do. Let's
and the pick and the pick that was the player that was selected, Hunter Henry, a 2022 round 3 draft pick for 2.8. So he traded Henry and a 3rd round pick next year, and he drafted a backup running back. Let me see here.
Oh no,
the hell's the draft? There it is.
Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, Chuba Hubba.
He's one of that to me, that level of running back, their landing spots crush the depth of this draft. Him going to the Panthers, Kylan Hill going to the Packers. It's just like these dudes who were like big names a year ago in the Devy community that had mediocre seasons and then just got drafted to crap situations. And it's just like Chuba Hubbard was so good, and he whatever.
Who's the kid that was drafted by Philly?
Oh, Roundtree. No, he's in San Diego or Los Angeles.
Gainwell, yeah. And then they friggin' signed the running back from Detroit, Kareem Johnson or Kerryon Johnson.
Jordan Howard.
Oh yeah, whatever, man. Kerryon Johnson's death.
But I mean, that ruined the depth and completely for this league, like Russ was saying. I mean, if you would have went to, I don't know, let's say the Bills, his value goes up. Maybe I don't know. I'm just trying to name a team, but he did not have to go to a team where Miles Sanders is there, and clearly.
Yeah, but I think I know that they just overturned their front office, but I still just don't think we're going to see Miles Sanders just as a 80% touch guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
is
not
that
going
the
to happen.
Sirianni decision? So do you feel like? Do you think that's Sirianni, their head coach?
There's terrifying storm going on outside. I mean, I haven't heard anything from, like, that's why I keep turning my head real quick. It's just I haven't heard anything, but it's just, you could tell by them keep bringing these guys in that either they're worried about Sanders' health, which, I mean, he's missed time, I think, every season at this point. I think he's only been in the league for 2 years, so that's not like
the truth though.
But yeah, I mean, and I love the dude as a running back, mostly just because Penn State and Brian Harr, and I had to hear about it all the time. But like he should be getting the ball 70% of the time because the dude can play as a wide receiver. The dude is very good in space. The dude is very good at running the ball. Like if anything, you get a bulldozer to go behind him. But like Kenneth Gainwell is not that guy. Kerryon Johnson's not that guy, which either means one, they are really just going to let Miles Sanders be the guy, and they got lesser versions of him to be behind him. Crossing my fingers that that's the case. Or two, they don't really have that much faith in Miles Sanders, and they're going to just cycle between those three dudes. And that's probably the more likely situation.
It's I really hope not. I got a lot of shares of him. I'm still believing he's going to be great because he's so talented.
Yeah.
But speaking of somebody else though, that's maybe getting lost in the shuffle, as I kind of hope not. But one of the last players I do want to talk about, Brandon Ayuk, over in San Francisco. I'm afraid he might be getting lost in the shuffle. We know that they brought in a new player, a new quarterback in Trey Lance and his rookie. We talked about Shanahan earlier and Alfred Morris and how he's able to just make people just better all around. There's never been a player with more than 6 receiving touchdowns under Kyle Shanahan.
That's
for
crazy.
San Fran. So with that being said, Brandon Ayuk, I know we've had injuries, but Brandon Ayuk's last 7 games on a points per game basis was number 6 in PPR. He had 18.4. What do we think? I know
we are also forgetting how much that defense was hurt. I don't think they want to throw the ball that much. And the fact that they got a running quarterback in the draft shows that they might want to throw it even less. I mean, Lance is good at throwing the ball. I was a little worried, like confused, I should say, at first that, because I my best friend is a Niners fan, so I watched plenty of Niners game, and I'm like scarred by Kaepernick, where he was literally, okay, my first read's that guy, covered, run! Like he was literally one read and run. And I've been talking to a lot of people who do watch tape, and Lance isn't that guy. Lance is actually, from what I hear, very good at going through progressions, which is good for Ayuk because chances are Kittle's that first read.
Yeah, don't be too
That's what I love about Lance too. Is you heard about his college coaches, they even let him make decisions on his own compared to some of these other guys that just weren't ready to do that. His football IQ is just so much higher than a lot of these other guys, and I think that's going to help him translate a lot.
Yeah, I think their passing attempts are going to go down, and you have to hope the efficiency of it goes up, and you have to hope that there's like a meeting in the middle of the amount of targets that Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk are going to get, because man, they're all so similar. Like I get that Kittle's a tight end, but he's not that different from Ayuk. Like, and I mean, Debo's not as alpha-esque, I guess. Like he's
basically
more of
a running back. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like more of a line of the scrimmage kind of guy, but I still do like him a decent amount, especially if there's any points per carry. Like I've been scooping up Debo anywhere I can. But otherwise, like Ayuk, the hype is further than I think his actual value should be. So I have next to no shares. I always try and have one just in case share of almost any player. Like, I mean, I'm not Christian McCaffrey because I refuse to pay for that. But like guys of that level and below, I try and just have one just in case the dude does go off. I could say, well, at least I have one. So I do have like 1 or 2 Ayuk shares, but mostly if I have them, I trade him away because I think his value is just really high right now. Like you were saying before, Keenan said that he would take Ayuk over, was it Higgins? Like, or was that Juju? I can't remember who we were talking about. Regardless, you were wrong when you said it. Like I think we were talking about Higgins at the time. Like I would still take Higgins over Ayuk pretty easily. Like in his rookie draft, I would have done it, and now I would do it.
The one thing about Ayuk, I was trying to find the stats while you guys were talking. He gets a lot of his catches behind the line of scrimmage. There was a game where last year he caught all his passes behind the line of scrimmage, and
it's amazing.
And I wish I could find the stat. I was just looking through it.
But that's also not going to happen with Trey Lance. Like that's like, oh my God, we have Jimmy Garoppolo as our quarterback. What the hell are we going to do?
And
maybe it was like even a Nick Mullins game.
It was a Mullins game. 100%.
Like that's even worse. Like I mean, I love all those people that were like, why are they going to start Garoppolo when they have Mullins?
It might have been the Bills game where he caught all his passes behind the line of scrimmage, but
that is just a hilarious stat. Even though.
But yeah, after I was thinking about it, I do take my comment back. I think I'd rather have Higgins until until Lance takes over that offense, and then we'll see what they decide to do with that offense.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a very big shift. Like, this is almost like Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson difference between Garoppolo and Lance. Like, Garoppolo isn't necessarily a statue as much as Joe Flacco was, but it's not that far off, And the thing is, at least Joe Flacco can throw a deep ball. Garoppolo cannot. So, like this, I think we are in line for a very different offense between the two quarterbacks.
And that's what's going to be crazy. I mean, I believe in Kyle Shanahan. That's my problem.
That's what it comes down to. That is why I'm not
not
stuttering at all in my belief of these guys. I
wish they could figure it out.
They're all yak guys. That's like, this is a team full of yak guys. And that's the problem, because you can't, we want to be able to put them in their boxes so we can try and project what we think those boxes will score. But it's one big box, man. Like, there's nothing we could really do about it.
Shanahan's record without Jimmy G is really bad. So we'll see if he could
look at his quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. But we'll see. We'll see what he does with this offense.
Yeah. And it's frustrating, especially, Debo being as good as he is, and he's going into his third season. Like you said, Russ, it's just, there's so much hype on everybody. Kittle's back and he's still young and he's amazing. It's like, well, if there's not going to be a bunch of yards after catch, you're right. I really am intrigued to see what it is, because if their ADOT's going to start getting higher, their yards got to go down.
Yeah, like that's why you just take the cheapest dude, and that's why I have a lot of Debo at this point.
Yeah, everyone's scared to trade for Debo right now. I have Debo in the league that we're doing right now. Couldn't even give him away.
Yep, couldn't.
Well, let's talk about this trade, and I think after this trade, we might close it out, because I know.
Yeah, remember that time we're like, yeah, we'll try and keep it around an hour, dude. If you have me talking, it's not going to be an hour.
I'm getting the evil eyes. No, not really. But all right, here, 10 team PPR. Okay, it's Derrick Henry, a 22 third, a 23 second. For Mike Evans, Debo Samuel, and a 22 fourth. So, let's throw those picks really kind of out the door. It's Derrick Henry for Mike Evans and Debo Samuel. 10-team PPR.
How many starters?
There are 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, tight end, quarterback. So like that, 9, yeah.
Yeah, if it were 10 or more, I would be closer to the Evans Debo side, but given that, it's probably Henry kind of easily. Are you going to start Debo very often and feel great about it with like 10 teams and only starting 9 people? Probably not. Like, maybe if Kittle gets hurt again, or if Ayuk gets hurt, then you feel good about it. But Debo's a depth piece at that point, given the league setting. So I lean Henry just because of the points he'll put up this year. But I do love me some Mike Evans.
How about Mike Evans, a first next year for Zeke, and a second next year?
I traded Evans in a first for Zeke
like last week. I saw you do that. Or wait, maybe it was a different league, but
it was TA3. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a very fair trade. It was me and Rocky. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So clearly, we don't let each other get away with anything. So we both thought it was a very fair trade, because I don't think there was any negotiating. Like, I really think I sent that offer and he accepted it. Yeah. So yeah, at that point, it's team direction. Like, I think the value is insanely fair. He never thinks his team is good, even though I always think his team's a competing team. And my team, I don't care about my team. I was bored, so I did it, is what it comes down to. Like, I did the thing you're not supposed to do, and I saw my only running back was Mike Davis, so I'm like, let me go see if I can get Zeke, and I did. That's what it comes down to. Like I always say, do as I say, not as I do, because I have no patience, and I go against my own advice all the time, mostly just because I'm bored.
I think my worry with Mike Evans is, so last season, he's currently wide receiver
2 seasons, man.
Right, it is. But he's 27. I think he's another one of those players that people are seeing as older, but he's produced. He's had 1,000 yards every single season.
Every single
year.
But
I projected double-digit touchdowns last year for him.
It was such a weird beginning of the season, though. Such a weird beginning of the season. He was Jordan freaking Howard of wide receivers. 1 catch for 2 yards and a touchdown. Like,
was this
that's
the freaking
weirdest thing ever. Yeah, like, it was like, but you saw it 11 o'clock.
We're getting there.
Yeah. at the end of the season, he was out targeting a healthy Chris Godwin. Like that offense clicked as the season went on. Like just even look at Brady's number. Like he got he turned into Tom Brady. He got efficient. He started to do really well. And like at the beginning of the season, if Chris Godwin was in the game, Mike Evans might as well not have been. Yeah, and that's just because that's more of the wide receiver that Brady's used to, the route running, the slot guy. And I mean, when was the last time, like Randy Moss, and not to call Evans Randy Moss, but that's the closest you can by the kind of player they've had together. So it took him a little time to mesh with him. And by the time he did, Evans was doing really damn well. So like, I remember like being distraught about Mike Evans, like just get rid of him, forget whatever you can, because he's dead on this team, and then completely apologizing for it like 6 weeks later. But like, no, like I do like Evans. I'm not worried at all. Yes, value wise with the rookies from last year and this year, if like they do well, then it's going to push a lot of the guys that hit 28 real far down in ADP, which usually goes along with a tank and trade value. But production wise, I'm not concerned at all for Mike Evans. That's what I was wanting to hear, is if you think, the potential for double-digit touchdowns is there. Oh, again, it's Mike Evans. It's always there.
And I agree with you, Bruce Arians. That's traditionally what he does. You heard Jameis Winston 2 years ago in their first season. Even they got better. Remember, they finished like 6-2 their last 8 games. It's just a Bruce Arians offense. And I think going into that next year, they're gonna be something special with those 3 wide receivers. Is either of you, Keenan or Eric, anything to say on that trade? Keenan, was that your trade?
It's my trade.
I thought so,
but it was more team directed.
Right.
And the first is for a very bad team. So.
Cool.
My trade was a 23 first, which does sort of matter a little bit.
I got you. Okay. Well, that kind of helps. That kind of helps a little bit because you got Zeke out of that. So, I mean, it makes you feel like 2 more years from now, you'll get that pick probably back somehow.
Well, that's what I try to explain to these guys, Russ. The way I negotiate with everyone now is I make it look like I'm overpaying. Yeah, I'll throw you an extra second for 2023. I'll get that pick back.
Seconds. That's cool. I'm going to end up with the 212, but I'll go trade for someone's 2.6. It's fine. No big deal.
I traded for Justin Jefferson. I looked like an overpayment because I gave up a bunch of depth players, a couple firsts, and a second. Everyone's like, "Oh, you overpaid." A couple hours later, I traded Ryan Tannehill for 2.5 and got my second back. Literally a couple hours after that pick. After that. And then I drafted Justin Fields at 2.5. So it worked out in the end.
So you pretty much just traded Tannehill for Justin Fields, and I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I get it. Like, you just got a lot younger, but
I mean,
Tannehill's doing so damn well, and it's 1 QB. Like, I can't wrap my brain around that anymore. I literally don't know if I have a 1 QB.
But I have an older quarterback, so I just grabbed a younger quarterback.
I love Justin Fields, so I think you'll be fine.
And at 2.5, I didn't know who was going to be there, and I took best player available. And I don't like to reach. So,
yeah, maybe you can help us dissect maybe a Superflex 101 sometime down the road. I know, like, and have an episode about Superflex. Anyways, that's a lot of I guess a lot of football conversation. But Russ, I have one last question. That's it. Trevor Lawrence or Lamar Jackson, 12-team Superflex.
I mean, the answer is Trevor Lawrence based on value. I mean, that's the only thing I could talk about.
Like 1-1. So you would trade 1-1 for Lamar Jackson right now, or Lamar Jackson for 1-1?
Yes, because I think I can turn around and do more with it. If we have a draft that didn't happen, or even if we would just put the name to Trevor Lawrence, I think if my goal was to break apart the asset of that quarterback, like if I wanted to go trade for a running back and wide receiver, or even a lesser quarterback and a wide receiver, you'll get more for the pick of the 101 or the name of Trevor Lawrence than you will for Lamar Jackson coming off of a QB 13 who we hope is going to do better. And that is silly because of how good we've seen Lamar Jackson be. There was something wrong with that offense last year. And even towards the end, they started to do a little bit better. Not enough to make me feel good about it, but like, that offense can't be it. Like, he looked stale, and Lamar Jackson hasn't been in the league long enough to stale that quickly. So, like, I do believe he will be better, but still, like, the value of the idea of the 101 and the value of the idea of Trevor Lawrence is going before Lamar Jackson in startups. So that just he's
I
more
think
valuable.
I think the issue is more of people just don't they're so enamored with Trevor Lawrence that they don't want to
absolutely.
give up. Because if you look at it, like the June DLF ADP that came out, Lamar Jackson in Superflex startups is 4th overall, and Trevor Lawrence is 10th overall. So really, the community is looking at it as
I have not
they're drafting
seen
Lamar.
any draft where Lamar has gone before. Actually, I'm in. Oh, it's a 1 QB, so that's not going to help. I'm in one of the mocks right now.
I did this trade.
I just pulled it from DLF. So I mean,
I trust you. But like in the
yeah.
startups I've done this year, though I haven't done any in June, so that's fair. But like, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just think for trading wise, I think people are they're just not willing to give up anything extra. They'd rather just have Lawrence. So that's why you're seeing these questions where everyone's asking Lamar or the 101. But I think his value is still holding. You're just not necessarily seeing it because people aren't willing to give up that extra piece to trade for him.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I did this trade, and I gave up Lamar. I have Josh Allen and Tua, so I gave up Lamar, and I completely regret it. I'm like, man, should I have gotten more on top? I just took it because I'm like, I love Lawrence. I think he can be great. We all expect it, but you expect it.
Who cares? Like at that point, especially because you have 2 decent quarterbacks anyway. I believe in Tua, 100% believe in Tua that he's going to be much better than he was last year. But like. I honestly, I would even do that on a competing team. I don't care. It's just the idea of Lamar for Trevor Lawrence is so fun. I would just do it.
Oh man, yeah, I was sitting there for a day, Russ. I just kept looking at it, like just baffled. I'm like, damn, was that the right one? But
I think probably would have flipped a coin at some point. Like, and I would have taken a video and like, all right, dude, we're gonna see if we're gonna accept this trade. Because really at that point, like so many times where you get same position, same tier offers, usually I just say no. But if it's 2 dudes that sounds like fun, I usually end up going, why not? And hit accept.
Play the game.
Yeah, like what? Like it's just fun for the hell of it, and something like that is absolutely fun given the 2 players involved.
Awesome, man. And speaking of fun, this episode was amazing. I had a lot of fun. I had a good time. If we're gonna close it out, I will not do as bad as I did with that intro. That's for sure. So
that's days ago at this point. I don't even remember.
We talked for so long before, and I just got in my head of like, oh man, what are we gonna do here now? So Russ, why don't you close yourself out here? Why don't you tell everybody again who you are, what you do, and
where they can find what I do. You just
I don't.
use
I
my
know.
line
I hate.
against
I don't
me.
mean.
Do
I
it.
did it again.
Yeah, you did it.
I did that to you last year, Russ. I don't. I did that same thing to you last year. I told myself I'm not going to do that again.
Honestly, like I never plan on saying that phrase. It's just literally all I could think of. Like that's what you need them to say. Just tell them who you are, what you do, and where they can find it.
Close out the show.
Well, I am Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse on the Twitter machines. I have many, many, many podcasts. To find my podcasts and other amazing ones, you subscribe to the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network and the DLF family of podcasts. You can find pretty much everything I do on all of those. Also, the YouTube subscription as well, because I do YouTube shows for both of those. Man, I do way too much stuff. Like, I can't imagine anyone wants to listen to me that much. But yeah, no, that's what I do. I talk a lot because no one's told me to shut up enough yet that I've actually listened. But no, thanks for having me on. I heart all of you guys. So this is always so much fun.
Yeah, we appreciate
heart you
man.
back.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Had you on episode 5 last year. We're up to 39 now. So it's not as bad as it looks, I promise.
Went from 3 listeners to 1.
Yeah, we still have one consistent. No, but truthfully, make sure you guys make sure you're following us on Twitter at DynastyMafia_FF. Make sure you're following myself at Antonio Denisi FF, Eric at Biggie_FF, Keenan at Keenan_716. You can check out the video. You can see Russ. You can see all of us. Make sure you're following us on YouTube as well. Hit the subscribe button so you know when we are on. That's as much as I got for you right now, though. Again, really appreciate you for coming. I told myself, man, I was listening to you earlier today, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the close out because I did it last year. Here we are. I'm just going to edit it out, and we'll just go to
No, you leave that. I will be angry if you edit that out at this point.
God, just take it as envy. You're great at what you do. But thanks
your
again
fault for listening to me talk. Let's put it that way. I'll blame you, not me.
Keenan, Eric, anything else to go?
Nothing. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate you always being
Yeah,
on. And
appreciate your time as always, man.
And we should get a startup league going. One more before the season starts.
Oh my God! Why would you say those words?
Dude, trade addicts. I'm getting into trade addicts eventually. We're getting in there.
Russ, you can't turn it down, buddy.
I absolutely can right
You
now.
can't
Oh
turn
my
it down.
God!
Yeah, he'll have a nightmare now about drafting. All right, guys. Well, with that
I'll
being
make it-
said,
I'll make it a super flex league just for you.
It would have to be. Let's. There's. I have standards.
Yeah. You'll never can get in that one quarterback league again.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Mafia out.